Welcome to Menopause Moguls Podcast, the Elevation Talk series, with yours truly, Dr. Joyelle. I am Dr. Joyelle, the Menopause Mogul, board-certified OBGYN and business coach for Black women 40 and over, and my mission is to educate, embolden, and empower Black women and other women of color in their journey through health and careers. This is a space for Black women and other women of color to share their compelling trials and tribulations in their health and or in their careers and businesses. This is where we recognize the humanity of Black women and show how Black women continue to elevate despite midlife challenges and changes. So tune in to meet our next amazing guest. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Menopause Moguls with your host, Dr. Joyelle. Today, I wanted to talk to you all about menopause in the delivery room. Menopause is the delivery room. Yes, you heard that right. Y'all know that I'm an OBGYN, so this came to me recently and I wanted to share with you all. As we know, menopause is essentially the stage of life where it ends your years of reproduction, right? The end of your reproductive years. But I want to submit to you that even though our reproductive years has ended in menopause or ends in menopause, it actually also is the start of our most productive years. So that's why I wanted to call this Menopause is the Delivery Room. The other day, I don't know, it was a few weeks ago. I dreamed that I had a baby. Woo! I was like, it was a beautiful baby girl, full head of hair. I basically was watching myself give birth. And I woke up, I was like, always, I believe that, God speaks to me sometimes in my dreams. And I'm like, okay, what was that about, God? Because you know that I am done. Those of you who have been following me for a while, I have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. 12, 10, and 8. And your girl is done. Like, I have no plans, no inkling to have any more children, right? So when I had this dream, I was like, I don't know. What was that? And then I was thinking about Sarah in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 21, where she gives birth to a son named Isaac. And she was like in her 90s, well into postmenopause, right? And, before that, God had told her that she was going to bear a son. And she was like, yeah, that ship has sailed, God. I'm actually going to have my husband, here's my servant. You can, have a baby with her because my ship has sailed. There's no way. I'm well into my 90s. Like, there's no baby coming out of here. But God eventually gave her what he promised, right? And I thought about, we cannot doubt the power of God, doubt his promises, and realize that, those promises will come, but in his timing, right? So when I was reading about, Sarah and how she was able to bear a child, her postmenopausal stage, even when she was feeling like worn out, she was like, I'm barren, my time is over, it's too late, right? And I think about when women are going into transitioning into menopause, into these postmenopausal years, we can feel that way. We can feel worn out. We can feel like our time is over. We feel like we're too old to do things like build a business, write a book, pivot make this big transition in our careers, right? Pursue our dreams. But I think in this chapter, God is like, tells us that you can still birth something. Even though your reproductive years have ended, you're still able to birth things out of you. You still have things inside of you that you need to birth and share into the world. So I was like, okay, all right. Well, so maybe that's what this is about. Because like I said, like there will be no biological children coming out of here, but birthing something else. I'm like, okay, I can get with that. I can get with that. And it's funny because some other symptoms that had come up as I was also continue to deal with my post-COVID symptoms was nausea, right? And that was new. Like those of you again who have been following me with my post-COVID stuff, nausea was not part of my symptoms, and now it has been. Thankfully, it has not I haven't had any in weeks, but it was for a while where I would just feel like intense nausea throughout the day. And I mean, it was like I didn't really have morning sickness in my pregnancies. But this right here, I was like, this feeling like some morning sickness that like I cannot get rid of. So it was like throughout the day. It was at some points where I was just debilitating, like I couldn't do anything because I just felt like, ugh, like I can't do that, right? So, dealing with that. And I was thinking back to a thought or God's voice telling me that I want you to write another book. I want you to write another book. And those of you who know I have a book or don't know, my first book is called Loving Me, Myself, and Her Through Perimenopause and Beyond. If you don't have it, you certainly can go to my website, drjoyo.com, and get you an autographed copy. I can send that to you. But I thought about that thought or that download that he put into me, like, I want you to write another book. And he actually said that to me back in May 2022, in the midst of my first COVID storm, as I call it. My COVID storm. He gave me a title, he gave me the vision of the book cover. And I won't share the title now because I'll let you guys know that later, like future episodes. But he gave this to me, right? And I kind of like, all right, I don't feel good. I'm not, what would I write about? Oh, I have this title, but I'm like, okay, how much can I write about this? Will it be enough? So I didn't really do much. I just kind of had that thought and just thought, I'm like, okay, like, write another book. But it kept coming back over and over again. You're not writing yet. You need to start writing. You need to start writing. So one day I decided to, okay, I'm going to write the title. Like I'm going to create a Google Doc and just write the title down. Just kind of make a couple of jots of an outline. Like maybe I can talk about this and that. So I did that. And then a few weeks later, I felt worse in regards to my symptoms, the nausea, the pain, the fatigue. And, again, just trying to get through each day, trying to figure out, okay, what can I do to feel better today? Feel better than I did yesterday. And there were days where I felt, better, and then other days it's, didn't feel good at all. But eventually I got to a point where I was feeling better more consistently. And again, that whisper, that voice was about writing. You need to write the book, you need to write. So once I was feeling better, more consistently, and not 100%, but better, enough that I'm able to actually, get up and sit at the computer and, just start to write. So I created a schedule for myself to start writing this book. And, so I'm like, okay, I have this schedule. I'm gonna start writing. Um, and I was thinking about, again, how God puts things in you. It gives you these whispers for a reason, because we are supposed to birth other things out of us, not, biologically children, but other things, right? And I was thinking about before building and then starting my business, how before that, I went through the struggles of my initial perimenopausal symptoms of night sweats and mood changes and headaches and just feeling exhausted. I felt disgusting. I didn't like myself, like all of those things, right? And the struggles with that in regards to navigating, what I need to do in order to feel better in that situation, and more so what I needed to prioritize, which is prioritize myself and my health and my wellness so that I can feel better, in order to, do things that I really want to do. And then transitioning into entrepreneurship, the idea of birthing a business, right? My transition into entrepreneurship, the idea of birthing a business, I realized that I also had to be, and birthing or deliver a business, I also have to be delivered from some things, right? So liberated from these chains of perfectionism, delivered from procrastination, delivered from the feeling of inadequacy, delivered from the fear of failure. Like, I was not able to make as much progress and success with my business, in my business, until I was able to be delivered from those things. The desire to be perfect all the time. Like, before I was like, I can't put a podcast out because it's not perfect. So like, it needs to be perfect. And I would watch it and listen to it and like, okay, I got to do it again. Don't sound right. Like all these things, right? And if I kept on doing that, I would probably not be. I've done over 100 episodes now. Like, I probably wouldn't be at this point. Because that took time. That was so much time consumed doing that, going back and forth. Like, oh my God, like what? How do I sound? Like, I sound kind of stupid. Like, like all these crazy things I would tell myself, right? So I had to stop doing that. I had to deliver myself from doing that in order to, be okay with just putting it out there and be like, y'all gonna get what y'all gonna get, right? Delivered from the procrastination, like, okay, I can't do this just yet because it just doesn't, my website not good. And, making up just, excuses really, and just trying to put it off for other things. I had to be delivered from that in order for me to build and then launch my business and get clients and things like that. The feeling of inadequacy, right? I remember when I first wrote my book and then had to, go out into the social media world to promote it. Like, before that, I was not on social media. Like, people who know me, like, they were like, we only see your husband post about your kids. Like, why don't you ever post? I'm like, I don't do social media. Like, I don't do that. So when I had my book, I had to get on social media and letting people see me. And I had to talk in front of, a live video. And I felt so inadequate. Like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, I'm okay with talking to people in the office, but on a video, like, I can't do this, right? So I had to be delivered from that feeling of inadequacy and do it anyway. The fear of failure, like build a business. What if it fails? What if I don't get any clients? Like, what? I had to be delivered from that in order for me to continue to take the steps to birth the business, to deliver the business, right? So just thinking about that. And I have to say now, when I say, being delivered from these things, or, is or liberated, am I truly liberated? Because not wholeheartly. And I say that because those things still come up, right? The perfectionism, like, oh, is this okay? Inadequacy. Do I sound fine? Am I going to be like all that? Those things still come up, but now I realize it, I acknowledge it, and I'm able to push through it and do it anyway, right? And that came by just creating the habits in order for me to do that, right? And those habits definitely include, self-work, which is something that I coach my clients on in regards to the relationship that I have with myself had to be different. My belief system about myself, how I talk to myself, because again, I would tell myself like, girl, you sound stupid. Them people ain't gonna understand you. Like, what did you say? I didn't even like the sound of my voice, right? Like, it was crazy, but that's that's the things that we do, right? So I had to kind of work through all that and create habits also to pour into me, to prioritize my health and my wellness, so that I can deliver the business, deliver the work that I needed to do to help my clients deliver their businesses, right? I had to create habits that essentially kind of broke things down into smaller tasks so they won't feel as big and daunting, right? You have to break things down into smaller things in order for you to, do the little things so you can get to the big thing. And that's even with your menopausal symptoms, right? Like you can have a whole bunch of symptoms, and you trying to figure out like what thing can I do to just take care of all of it. Like, I just want to just take care of all of it, which I totally get. Like, you want to just for it to all just stop so you can just get back into your life and do what you want to do. But sometimes you have to address one symptom at a time, one feeling, one emotion at a time. And a lot of times, a lot of our symptoms are interconnected. So once you kind of address one, the one that really, bothers you the most, that in turn kind of spills over and takes care of the other symptoms sometimes. So that definitely is something that's possible. But just realizing that you can, address each, thing taking small steps in order to do it is something that you can totally do so that you can do the things that you want to do in your life. Because again, you have something inside of you that still needs to be shared amongst the world, whether that's the business, whether that's a book, whether that's a nonprofit that you want to start. But realizing that there is a process, right? There is a process. And as I have gone through the changes, the midlife changes that I've dealt with, this whole post-COVID storm that I have been dealing with, I'm learning and continue to learn that there's a waiting period before the delivery, right? That waiting period is the process. And that process can involve pain. Physical pain, that pain that you can feel when you feel like you're losing pieces of yourself, as you're trying to adjust and adapt to the changes that you're going through mentally, physically, emotionally, like all of that. It's a process. And it's a process that honestly, I feel at this point that, it's required in order for you to deliver the thing. to birth what God has put inside of you. Whether it's a business, whether it's a book, whether it's, whatever that big thing is, we have to go through this process. So when you think about, what are you being called to do? Like, what is it that God is calling you to do? And when you think about that, you also have to think about, what do I need to be delivered from in order for me to deliver this thing into the world? What do I need to be delivered from in order for me to do that? Because what I've realized is that what has gotten you this far in your life, in order for you to go to your next level, you have to be a different version of yourself. You have to let go of who you used to be in order to embrace the person that you are becoming, the person that you were truly destined to be. And like I said, in that process, you have to be delivered from some things, whether it's perfectionism, imposter syndrome, procrastination, people pleasing. Hey, raising my hand for that. Definitely delivered from that. Low self-esteem, childhood trauma, all of that, like all the things that sometimes we don't really think about, because we're just so busy just with life, and life be lifing, right? So we also have to acknowledge those things, because those are the things that can stop us from delivering the business, delivering the book, delivering whatever that thing is, right? So being able to acknowledge, what you need to be delivered from. And then as you are going through that process and pushing through the pain of going through, pushing through your, being uncomfortable, pushing through the fear, pushing through the feelings of inadequacy as you're trying to deliver that thing. So that dream, the dream of me watching myself deliver a baby, just said to me, again, even in the midst of all the challenges, the health challenges that I've had, is that, there's something more, right? There's something more that I have to give. I don't want to have any more children. There's definitely a lot more that I want to give to the world. But I have to kind of continue to move forward with the faith that what God has whispered to me, God has promised me, that it will happen, but it certainly will happen on his timing and not my own. And this also makes me, had me remember Hebrews 11, chapter 11, verse 11, where it says, it was by faith that even Sarah was able to have a child. Though she was barren and was too old, she believed that God would keep his promise. And we have to believe that he will keep his promises. He did not put that idea of building a business for nothing. He didn't put that idea of writing a book for nothing. He didn't put that idea of starting a nonprofit. Whatever that thing is, he did not put those ideas, those thoughts, dreams in your head, in your mind, in your spirit, just because, just randomly. He did it for a reason, because he wants you to birth it. He wants you to birth it. And also remembering, again, as I'm going through my own health challenges, I'm also learning. I know you've probably have heard healthy mom, healthy baby. Same thing here. Like, if you are not healthy, how are you going to birth or deliver a healthy business, a healthy book, like a successful best-selling book, a healthy whatever that thing is? You also have to be healthy, and not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of that matters. And again, that boils down to the relationship that you have with yourself. How are you treating yourself? How are you taking care of yourself? Because all of that matters. Because once you do that, once you become intentional about that, you will be able to deliver what God has put inside of you. You will be able to birth what God has put inside of you. And you will also realize that as you are healthy, you become more productive, right? Like you are more productive when you're healthy. You have more energy, you have clarity, you are able to take more, more bold steps because you're more confident. All of it is intertwined. All of it matters. So that's what I think my dream was about, y'all. So don't be expecting no fourth kid coming out of here. So that's what I wanted to share with you all, right? Like whatever has been placed inside of you, menopause is a delivery room. This is your opportunity to have more self-discovery, more self-awareness, agency, like all of that in order for you to deliver what is inside of you, birth whatever's inside of you, because the world is still waiting for it. And if you have faith, you believe what God has promised you, all of that, you will be able to deliver it. All right. So that's what I have for you all today. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment if you're here watching on YouTube. Leave a 5-star review and a comment on Apple Podcasts or listening on the podcast. I really want to know what y'all think. All right. And let me know what y'all trying to birth. How about that? Like, I would like to know that too. Like, what has God put inside of you that he wants you to birth? But you feel whether it's some hesitation or whatever that thing is, something that's holding you back. I would love to know that too. All right. All right. So as a woman of color, as a Black woman, I want to remind you again that you can do anything that you are being called to do. And you are designed to deliver what God has put inside of you. No matter how old you are, no matter what circumstances you're going through, you are built to deliver it. All right. As always, sending love and light. Talk to y'all later. Bye.